Hello, Maverick fans. Welcome to another edition of the Mavpuckcast. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it may be.
Yeah, it's great to be back. And I'm John. After a inadvertent 1-week hiatus, we're back. Sometimes it's nice to kind of keep people in mystery, wondering what we would have picked for the Denver series that we just got done watching yesterday, the 2-game series against one of our NCHC nemesis, and always a tough draw for UNO. UNO has struggled the past several years, year in, year out with Denver University, both home and on the road. So this was a big series coming in. We were coming off of a sweep against St. Cloud State. That was a huge two-game series for UNO that was the start of a 6-game homestand and the season. So what did you think going into, since we didn't get to do our predictions, what did you think going into Friday night? Were you confident going into this series or not? Because I was feeling good after the St. Cloud State series.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part is I thought we played so well against St. Cloud that it's really hard to predict what the guys are going to do after that, right? Like, are they going to come out saying, we can do this, clearly we can skate with the best teams in the conference? Or are they going to come out thinking, we had 2 good games and it's just going to keep rolling? But Friday, we dominated them, like just start to finish, up and down. It was a good showing by the guys on Friday night.
That was how they played those games against St. Cloud State. There's the energy levels seem to be good. The puck handling was good, blocking shots, defensive play great. Certainly a night and day difference from the Miami series a couple weekends before. And so I don't know if Coach Gabinet ordered an extra dose of kale for the players coming into these series or not. I will say, though, that under Mike Gabinet, we've been a really good team at home. And this season, we're 13-5-0 currently, 7-9 on the road. So this team definitely favors Baxter Arena. And that's kind of nice to be developing a bit of a home ice advantage, especially in conference play. And
yeah,
so
Friday's game, especially the first period, borderlines on some of the best hockey I've seen them play this year.
Yeah.
They were, like you mentioned, they were on the puck. We were pressuring them. And that's, I think, a big thing with Denver, particularly when Denver goes on the road. They like to control the tempo and control the play, and that's where they find success. And the best way you can do that is to go out there and just fly at them and force them to kind of adapt a little bit. Even, going into Saturday's game, I thought in the beginning, our passing wasn't as well, our systems weren't as well executed as they were on Friday. But generally speaking, like, we carried over Friday into Saturday really, really well, which is something this team struggled to do this year, is to, have some success and find that you can kind of carry that in and not just have that be one period or one game or one shift or something. So it was nice to see that. And, really the downfall on Saturday comes down to some bad decisions and some bad calls. And you can't, in the last 6 minutes, with a lead, you can't take a 5-minute penalty. Like, you just can't do it. Can't put yourself in a position where the ref can make that call, and did, and it killed us.
And I know some fans have alluded to this. It did seem like the latter half of the third period, they started calling more penalties. Obviously, that penalty against Jimmy Glenn was a major, so it's tough when, the last 6.5 minutes of the game, you're on the penalty killing off a 5-minute major. That ultimately was our fate on Saturday night. We did not win, so the streak did not continue. As you know, Jason, via text and talking to me, I thought we would get the win on Saturday nights. But I'll tell you what, winning 3 out of 4 against these two teams is awfully good.
They're in a tough position, with those losses, as you mentioned, to Miami, splitting everything with Cara College this year. Like, A lot of people have asked me about standings and expectations for the end of the season, and I say you got to be aware that the way that college hockey works, where there is an equation that is determining your fate coming the end of the season. Losing to a team that's ranked under you will always hurt you more than beating a team that's ranked higher than you. And that's something that UNO has struggled with in many, many years that I've watched this team. It seems to be something that they've struggled with and we've mentioned this when we talked to it. If you go back to the podcast when we talked about the Miami NCCC series, is for some reason we should have no problem with these teams, and yet we struggle to finish opportunities. And we don't know if it's mindset or what, but if this team wants to take a step to the next level, if they want to be a North Dakota or Denver that's a continual conversation for Frozen Fours and national championships and things, like that's the next step for them, is not just win games, but show that you can beat the teams that are ranked below you.
Yeah, I mean, we played 8 total games against Colorado College and Miami that are the 2 teams below us in the conference standings and aren't particularly strong teams. And we only won 3 of 8 games against those 2 teams.
So should we pick players for the weekend? I think it's only fair if you take the first stab at it this time.
Well, I'm going to pick freshman Ty Mueller, who I have picked before, who had 2 goals on the weekend. He's been a great surprise on the team this season. Certainly a talented prospect coming in. Had played well in midgets and in juniors. And I've been impressed with him this entire season. And look, he got an opportunity because some other guys were injured, and he has really looked good this season, and he's taken advantage of the opportunity, as we mentioned before. So 2-goal weekend, great performer on Friday night. I think one of the best players on Friday night. And that's saying a lot considering some of the veteran players we have like Tyler Weiss and Taylor Ward. So good job for Ty Mueller. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the next couple of weekends.
Yeah, I think that was a good pick. I'm going to go with one of his line mates this weekend. I'm going to pick Cameron Perk. I mean, I don't know, like he was on the score sheet a couple of times. He was, I think, 2 assists on the weekend, both on Friday. But even on Saturday, he was getting to the scoring areas. He had a couple opportunities. I really liked his play. He was aggressive on the puck, things like that. And it's just nice to see him blossom. And I think with you picking Mueller, I look at this team and say, we're going to lose Weiss, we're going to lose Ward, we're going to lose Primo, we're going to lose Taconic, Conley, it's going to be a rough offseason, I think, for the Mavs. And to have success next season and beyond is going to take some guys to step up and fill those roles. And I really see these 2, Mueller and Berg, as kind of the guys that really need to make a jump next year and take this team to the next level. They're the ones I think we're going to have to lean on to, produce more offensively for us, which is something we've struggled with and we talked about was going to be a struggle for this team going in. So hopefully, finishing the season strong is that momentum that they need to work hard in the offseason and find their game come next fall.
Yep. Certainly, it's really important that those young guys lay the foundation, and these 2 players are doing just that. So yeah, it'll definitely be a rebuilding year next year, but it's nice to see these guys having success now because that'll pay dividends down the road. So great picks. We picked 2 freshmen. So good deal. So turning to our shootout segment and the first shootout topic. So I got to ask you, Jason, and there are no right or wrong answers on this. So feel free to answer any way you'd like. There is a new in-game tradition that has sprouted up the past 2 Saturday nights, and that is John Denver. The song is Take Me Home, Country Roads, and a lot of people sing it at a lot of different arenas. Certainly Denver, who we played this weekend, they They have the tradition of doing that. UNO decided to start cranking out John Denver, and the fans spontaneously a week ago at the St. Cloud series it was a group of students decided to take out their phones, turn on the flashlights while they were crooning to John Denver. And now everybody in the arena has got the flashlights on. Some people like this. A lot of people I know hate this. I'm not trying to influence you one way or another, Jason. I see that look on your face. But what do you think of John Denver and the phone flashlights and all of that stuff? Is this a good new tradition that's developing?
I do believe it was one of my ideas when we were going through those segments of promotion things. I'm like, because I love it. Like I go to the Avs games, play Simple Plan, and I don't know, North Dakota and Chicago have their kind of song, and it's crazy because you hear it and you think of those teams. Like if you've been to those games, like you just know. I think of Sweet Caroline in Boston, right? Like you hear that, you think of Boston teams because the Bruins do it, the Boston University, Boston College both play it. I don't think every week, but on a regular basis on them. And then as far as I know, they do it every time at a Red Sox games. I've never been, but that's what I hear. And I just I love the idea. That song, I don't understand. I don't get it. Like it's country, so it doesn't exactly it's not a pump up song. I'm not like, yeah, let's go. It's kind of like nostalgia, I guess. I don't know. And it's like we're going to West Virginia. I don't know why we're in Nebraska. So count me as one of those good idea, poor execution. Let's call that.
Okay, and Jason's a little bit skeptical. Sweet Caroline by Neil Diamond. It's one of those songs, obviously, that everybody kind of knows, has gotten to know over the years. I like the tradition too. I love it when people turn on the flashlights on their phone because I think that's it creates kind of a cool vibe there in the third period. I think it's neat to do that at one of the breaks in the third. The question that some people might have is this the right song? Now, maybe it is. Like I said, everybody knows the song. I was thinking, as you were talking there, I was thinking, a good song would be, Omaha by the Counting Crows, which they play during the College World Series, a lot of the promos. That would be kind of a neat song because obviously we are Omaha, and that might be a little bit more fitting because, who else is going to play that song at their hockey games? No other team will, and that could totally be our thing. And it's a similar kind of a vibe to the song. Now, people might not know the lyrics as well, but I think people would catch on fairly quickly. And the chorus is easy to pick up and most people know it. So that song might over a little bit better with fans. Overall, I like the idea. I don't want them, as we've talked about before, and you brought that up a couple podcasts ago about what the Colorado Avalanche did at a game where everybody's singing the song. So I want them to try these ideas. I don't want them to be scared off from doing that. But your reaction was similar, and I think part of it's just the song. So
yeah, I'm with you there. I agree. I like the idea. I think that's obvious, but it's just not the song. It just doesn't make sense. But I really love going to the Avs games and hearing them sing it. And I know people who were involved in that decision to start that Blink-182 thing, and they had the same concern. They're like, are people going to know what this is? And they just said, look, let's try it a couple times at a few games or something. And I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of people in the stands that probably didn't know it. But it doesn't take long for these things to catch on. So I think they just need to find a different song. Let's try something different. Right idea. Let's just try to tweak it. Try a different song. And okay. I like your idea. I think that's a good one. I'm gonna we'll pull that up and that Omaha maybe. That may be put the chorus in the chat below, and we'll try to get that started maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know in the comments down below what you think about singing Take Me Home Country Roads at the games. I like the idea.
If you have another idea for a different song that you think kind of connects to Omaha, I personally would love to hear what you think. would be a better song than Country Roads. So drop that in the chat so I can read that.
Absolutely. Be sure to let us know. All right. Turning to our next shootout segment, because Jason and I like to talk about ideas to get fans more engaged with the team, and we like fan benefits, which UNO has been trying out. They had $1 hot dogs and popcorn this weekend at Baxter Arena, which was very nice. I know a lot of fans like you guys partook in that, or partake, or however you say that. So Western Michigan, I noticed on Twitter Saturday night that they tweeted out that they were going to be showing Western Michigan's hockey game at North Dakota on the replay board, Lawson Ice Arena, and then you could stay after and skate. They had skate rental available. I thought that was a really neat idea. I've always thought it would be really cool for a game, especially one of the games that's on CBS Sports Network. And I mainly am going for that because I don't have a subscription that includes CBS Sports Network. So I'm always out of luck on those games as far as ease of getting them. I would love to see, and I think it'd be easier than doing a webcast at Baxter Arena. I would love to see them do one of UNO's road games during the season, have it on the Jumbotron, invite fans to come, let fans skate on the ice after the game. I know that might cost a little bit of money, but I do think they could probably find a sponsor for that. And I think it'd be a really neat deal to get fans involved, having them coming to Baxter on a weekend when there was a road game.
I think other teams have an easier time with that because their arenas are a bit single sport. They don't have a lot of things that they have to work around between basketball, volleyball, hockey, and then concerts and community events and graduations. And there's a lot. Like if you look at what goes on at Baxter, it doesn't surprise me that they haven't done something like that just from a sheer, unless we plan it at the beginning of the season that this is the week we're going to do it. I don't know how you just squeeze it in on a whim because they've got those things so booked out.
Right. It's definitely not something that you could squeeze in on a whim. And I think that they have tried doing that with things like Skate with the Mavs before, and it goes terribly because nobody knows about it. The assumption always is, well, that we put it out on Twitter, we put it on Facebook, but a lot of people don't see those things or they miss those things. So it's something that you would have to schedule back in like August or September. And I'm sure that there is a night at some point that could probably work out. I'm sure that costs are probably a concern because they'd probably be like, well, we got to bring in staffing and we got to bring in a Zamboni driver if we have the skate thing. But these are the things when UNO was playing downtown at both the Civic Auditorium and the CenturyLink Center, we were told time and again that they couldn't do these things because they didn't control the venue and how much it was going to cost and how much Mecca would charge them. And I would like to see them try something like this at some point, even if it's one of those things like when UNO makes the NCAA tournament, because usually by then basketball season is over. So if they could have a situation where like a game, or even if they, are fortunate enough at some point to get back to the Frozen Four, having those games on at the arena, assuming it didn't conflict with something else, if they could do that, it would be kind of a neat deal. So it's something I'd like to see them try.
And I think there's an opportunity for them to make it special. Like I remember when they went to the Frozen Four, you guys were there. We watched a couple of the games at the theater at Exurban Cinema there. And that was a really cool thing where, fans of the team got together. And if I remember right, didn't we have to buy tickets to that? Do you remember?
I can't remember because I was in Boston, but I think you had to reserve your spot if I recall correctly. Right?
Yeah, something like that. But like, I think that's an opportunity for him to say like, we're going to put the game up on the big screen, right? Season ticket holders, you get in free. Anyone else can buy a ticket for minimal amounts, charge them $2 per person or something like that, right? But sell concessions. Like if you do that, if I'm going to sit at home and watch the game anyways, it's kind of more fun to come sit and watch the game in the arena with, a bunch of my friends and stuff. and charge them for concessions. I can't imagine with what they sell at a normal game that you wouldn't make enough in concessions to at least cover your costs for doing something like that. And you get the benefit of, as we've talked about, special things for season ticket holders. This is just one of those things. It's not a big savings, but it does make me feel like I'm getting some value out of my season tickets. And I think that can go a long way just in that outreach and connection to fans.
Absolutely. I completely agree. So hopefully, seems like they've taken us up on some of our other suggestions, Jason. So maybe next season we'll see something like that. I think it'd be pretty cool. All right. So turning to our third shootout segment. This is one that Jason and I love to talk about, which are UNO's chances at the postseason, what the conference race is looking like right now, where UNO stands. And I'll just start it off by saying UNO currently sits in 6th place in the NCHC standings. If the season ended right now, we would be going on the road to Western Michigan to play the Broncos in a best-of-3 series. But the series not over yet. There's hockey to be played this upcoming weekend, and there's a lot of scenarios that can potentially happen. So what do you see happening? Do you think it's going to stay pretty much the same as it is now, and UNO is going to head to Western? I certainly don't know what's going to happen. I know the scenario I want to have happen, Jason.
I want to say if I was a betting man, but I'm a betting man, so that doesn't work very well. I'd put money on Omaha being where they are and going to Western Michigan. Denver, North Dakota, it'll be one of the two of them winning the regular season. Like, we know that. We can't leapfrog both Duluth and St. Cloud because they play each other. So there's no possible way for us to get home ice advantage. So we know now that we're going on the road.
Okay, do you want to hear the scenario that I would like to have?
I would love to hear what you want.
Okay.
That's reasonable. Don't tell me you want to play Colorado College in the first round, because they may happen.
No. So here we are. Looking at the standings, I would love to see a scenario, number one, where we sweep North Dakota, because I want to see that regardless of any of this other stuff. I want to see a scenario where Minnesota Duluth sweeps St. Cloud State. I'm assuming Western Michigan is going to, I'm assuming that they're probably going to sweep Miami, although you never know. Miami has put up a good fight in a lot of games recently, including the series against us. And because we sweep North Dakota, I'm really hoping Denver sweeps Colorado College. My finishing order would be Denver number 1, North Dakota number 2, Western Michigan number 3, Minnesota Duluth number 4, Omaha number 5, St. Cloud State number 6, Colorado College number 7, and Miami number 8. Now you're probably saying, why do I want to play Minnesota Duluth instead of Western Michigan? Because some people might think that Western's the more favorable matchup. The reason is because as a team, and this is just me kind of being ornery, I would love to have a scenario where the teams at the Frozen Face-Off at the X in St. Paul were North Dakota, Denver, Western Michigan, and Omaha. I would absolutely love it if no Minnesota teams made that event, because when we went in 2019, St. Cloud State and Minnesota Duluth were the two best teams in the conference. And there were a lot of Duluth and St. Cloud fans there, but I would love a scenario where we're able to take on Denver in that first game in St. Paul in front of absolutely nobody. A few, North Dakota fans who aren't out drinking beer, and the, 100 or so UNO fans that make the trip up there. That's what I want. So I've obviously given this a lot of thought. Jason's like, John has put way more thought into this than I thought he would. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think that, we're into our picks a little bit. So obviously you're picking Omaha to sweep North Dakota.
Yes, spoiler alert. That will be my pick later. So you've now your daughter during the game, informed Bridget and I there was no way we were beating North Dakota next week, and that North Dakota was going to sweep us. we'll have to see if Jason follows the family line here.
I think we should just go with it. I'm going to say that we split.
You're going to say we split, which I think is
it'll be weird going back and talking about why, but
people have been asking what are UNO's chances beyond the conference tournament and getting the auto bid. Now, you and I have been following this. Jason, would you like to tell people what our chances are of making the NCAA tournament as an at-large?
Near zero. Very, very near zero. Unfortunately, as we've said many, many times before, and a lot of people have asked me, and I keep pointing this out, mathematics are involved here, and you take a bigger knock for losing to teams below you than you get for beating teams above you. And so, unfortunately, outside of winning the conference, even if we get to the title game and lose, we still need help from other teams to get in.
Yeah, it's so College Hockey News in their pairwise coverage, they do a pairwise probability matrix. And Sunday morning at about 3 a.m., they ran 20,000 scenarios. That's what they do. So they run 20,000 scenarios to see who gets in. And our chances right now of getting in are 3%. Now, 2% of that 3% is getting an auto bid in the conference by winning the conference tournament.
Right.
The other 0.9%, Jason, the other 0.9% is getting an at-large bid. So 20,000, and I can't do the math off the top of my head. What's that like? A little less than slightly less than 200, maybe? Is that?
Yeah.
So in the 20,000 scenarios, somewhat less than 200. If I'm doing my math right, math is not my strong suit off the top of my head. So yeah, so there's a chance, but like all of these games are going to have to go a certain way. And people are like, well, do you have any idea what they need to do? And I'm like, no, I don't have the foggiest idea. I mean, it's one of those things where you have to, all the games that are left, both regular season and in the conference tournaments that are going to be going on the next few weekends, you have to be able to predict kind of exactly what's going to happen in those games. So like we said, and like Jason had alluded to, we really need to find a way to be stronger on the road during this season and potentially have stronger non-conference teams. I know that sometimes scheduling non-conference teams is an art as much as it is a science. So I don't want to, give anybody a bad time who may have come up with the schedule this year, because I don't know how long those games were scheduled out, but those are the things that have been difficult for UNO. So it's weird because 13-5 at home, 7-9 on the road. We are 20, 14-0 overall. If you had told me a year ago, without knowing any of the other circumstances of the season, that we had 20 wins with 2 games left to go in the regular season, I would have been assuming that we were a team that was in the top 10 in the pairwise. So, number of wins just doesn't always, relate to where you're going to be in. So turning to that North Dakota series, I already picked a sweep. I'm being really optimistic, and I'm basing that strictly on how the guys have played. Every time we play North Dakota, it's an emotional series. Certainly Brad Berry was upset after the Saturday game up there a few weeks ago. He felt like our players had kind of run some of their players. They had a couple of injuries on Saturday night that Brad Berry was not happy about. So certainly they've got a lot of motivation. And the thing too is that they're still fighting for the Penrose Cup, the cup that you get if you win the regular season title. So I don't think we're going to see a scenario where they're resting any starters. I know that Sam Spomer on Twitter brought up the idea, should UNO rest some of its starters? Because, at this point, it really is that playoff run in the NCHC tournament that's going to be the most important thing for us. Do you think UNO should, give Roden and Zab the start in net this weekend and let some of the guys down on the roster who haven't gotten a lot of playing time, maybe put them in and rest some of our top players like Lease and Ward? Or do you think we just go full bore and keep the momentum going that we've had the last couple of weekends?
I think you see what you get. I think that you want to give yourself the best opportunity to have success. If North Dakota gets up by, a few goals early on Friday, I'd probably say even if they do the same on Saturday, like if we're down by 3 in the game at that point in time, I'm probably reversing my lineup card. Typically you'll give the majority, well over probably close to 60% of your playing minutes to the top 2 lines. And I'd probably give 60% of my playing time to my bottom 2 lines at that point in time, so that my top 2 lines, Ward and Weiss and Mueller and Berg and the guys we talked about there, and get Primo healthy. If anyone has a nagging little injury, they'd be a healthy scratch on Saturday kind of thing, just so that you don't aggravate anything and you give them a little bit more of a rest. But I know this comes up a lot when we talk about NHL clubs going into the playoffs, and there's teams where they have nothing to play for. I'm in the playoffs, we're set, we can't drop, we can't go up. We don't know who we're playing, but we know that we're playing at home type of situation. So there's just not much to play for. Why risk an injury? And they'll sit some key players and stuff. And not every time, but more often than not, what I see with that is guys come in a little rusty. Their timing's a little off. Their hands are a little slow. Their checkdowns, their thought process, their recoveries, their decision making in general is a little slow and a little off. And coach knows his job is. I believe that he knows his team pretty well. Regardless of your belief of him and as a coach, his job is to know his team. And his job is to say, this is what's best. This is what gives my guys the best chance at success. This is the role that they should play. This is the position they should be in. This is a system that maximizes the potential, right? Because at this point in time, you're not teaching them anything. And so if coach says, hey, it's best if Ward just takes the night off, if Weiss just has a weekend to, get healthy, then fine. And I'm not saying that we know anything about those players, that they're injured or anything, or that they're playing through anything like that. I don't know that. And I want to make sure that that's clear in the podcast, right? Like that. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if he feels like that's the best situation for any player on the team, then that's the situation we should go in. Seville didn't play Saturday. We went and we split them. I fully expect that even if both of them are healthy, we'll split goals just to give a little bit of rest to Seville, because you have to expect although I say it's hard to not start Roden in the tournament because he's played really, really well his last few outings. You went into the season and you expect Seville to be your number 1 goaltender, and it's going to be kind of a ride or die situation, I would expect, with Seville.
Yeah, I would expect so as well. And it will be very interesting to see what they do. I want them to play spoiler so that North Dakota can't pose with the Penrose Cup on our ice, because we've seen that happen before with teams. So that's what I'm hoping happens. I want the guys to play spoiler to North Dakota. I'd like to see them get 2 wins. It would be really awesome to see them get 5 of their last 6 wins at home against 3 really good teams. But Jason may be a little bit more accurate with the split pick. So Jason, until this weekend at North Dakota, now you guys are going to be there?
Yes, we'll be there.
You'll be there, and I hope a lot of UNO fans come out. It'll be interesting to see how many North Dakota fans come out this weekend. But be sure to follow Mavpuck on Twitter for game updates during the series. We'll see if they play the John Denver song again this weekend and how that goes over with fans. But until next time, go Mavs.
Go Mavs.